Hello, beautiful co-creators of the new paradigm. I am Wieteke Koolhof from Design for Awareness, and I am here with Laurie Mc Donald. And she is a clinical hypnotherapist and an abduction researcher. Hi, Laurie.
Hey.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here in Sacramento.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure as well. And we just made a video about how, experiences with extraterrestrials can be kind of startling, for instance, but how they can also really assist us to grow beyond fear and into love, which is very beneficial for our transition into the next dimension. This video, well, we kind of in the last one, and we will put the links below, touched upon that we have had experiences ourselves.
Sure. Yes.
So in this one, let's share. Can you tell us, or share with the viewers as well, what have your personal experiences been, and how did you work with them? How did it bring you to the work that you're doing now?
I've had so many experiences. I'm a lifelong experiencer. I'm in my mid-50s now, a grandmother, and my experiences started for me in my, I want to say early childhood, but the truth is, my experiences started while my mom was pregnant with me. My mother experienced what being taken almost monthly throughout her 9 months of being pregnant with me. And during that process, she continuously was told that they were interested in the baby and that she had nothing to be afraid of. They did all types of physical examinations, and she also believes that she was implanted with extraterrestrial implant. So after she gave birth to me, she had a difficult time bonding. The experience of extraterrestrials back then wasn't something that she could speak freely of. It wasn't something that she could share like we're doing now for open-minded people, people with open hearts, people who are willing to hear the truth and allow a person to speak theirs. So in fact, she was actually ridiculed and scared into silence, where she was told by the doctor that she will be put into a psychiatric ward for 90 days. They're going to lock her up and do a mental health check. So she did shut up. So she was quiet after. She didn't tell anybody about this until I was 50, and that's when I found out her story. But prior to that, after in my youth, I had experiences with many types of beings, but there is one commonality that has stayed with all of my experiences, regardless of the extraterrestrial races that were involved. I have seen a very squat, like blue extraterrestrial. It seemed dwarf-like and awkward in their mannerisms. I've seen some mechanical ones. I've seen extraterrestrial biological entities, such as the short grays and the tall grays, but as well as feline beings. I've seen many types of extraterrestrials, including hybrids, hybrid humans, and hybrids reptilian with human, all different types. Now, the one commonality that has stayed with me through all of these experiences, there's always been this other type of entity that was always there, that I could never see specifically, but only ever appeared in the shades of beautiful fluorescent violet, and they would be at a silhouette of a human, and there always came in threes, like 3 women, although there were occasions where it was a masculine voice. And their voices were extremely high, fast, rapid, a quickened vibration, bird-like almost in their communication, because it's so high like that. And they were always there. Even during an abduction experience that was very terrifying for me, as I was still fear-based then. And they were still there. And they told me to focus and control my mind, allowing me to become fully lucid and conscious during the experience, as must have been what I've wanted. Because I'm the type of person, I want to know what I'm dealing with. You know, I want to give me a heads up. But they have always stayed with me And as a teen, I started to question, is this really real? Like, am I really seeing you? And I would like, I'd look, and I said, you know, at this point, I'm 15 years old, and I said, what I'm going to need you to do is touch me. I'm going to need to feel that, so in my 15-year-old mind, that's going to make it real for me. And so I just let my hand drop, and instantly a hand held mine. And instead of being frightened, I became instantly calm and assured. And the images that I was seeing at that time seemed very much like the silhouette of, I'm only going to say, the Virgin Mary. And I know that at that point it came in that motherly love, because that was the requirement, and that was necessary for me at that time. So the experiences have been amazing, but that one commonality, they are the ones that have ultimately led me to be free in my own mind. They stayed with me until I was in my 30s. And at that point, they have taken me as far as they can lead me, and I had to learn how to walk on my own. So if I needed to communicate with them now, I'm a big girl, I've got to push my mind out. They've taken me as far as they could, always gentle, always loving, always calling me by name. And in fact, they said to me on one time, I'm walking into my bedroom, and I believe I had a basket of laundry perched on my hip, and I was going to set it on the end of the bed, and I heard Laurie, Laurie, and I looked, and there they were, the three of them, so much more vivid and so much closer to me than they'd ever been, and they said, you passed.
Wow.
I said, oh, I passed. I died? I'm right? There's a communication protocol disconnect here, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking I died, right? And they're saying, no, you passed. They said, are you afraid? And I said, no, I've been waiting for you all of my life. And then they asked, do you want to see? And I said, I do. And in a moment, my full essence of me, my consciousness, my soul, however you need to label it, began to ascend. Up, out, through the spheres of space. I felt it all. There was a vortex of this violet energy surrounding me as I was pushed up through, and I broke out into space. And still being naive, as I was still young, I looked to see where my body was. And there was no body. Where my arms and legs should have been, were only stars and planets. And in a moment, I realized there were light years between my eyes, and I was experiencing a consciousness expansion. And I said to them, oh, I'm still Laurie. And, very naive. And of course I'm still Laurie, but who was I supposed to be? But they laughed. And in that laughter, every bit of me vibrated with such unconditional love that I really will never be articulate enough or have good enough command of the English language to express this love.
Yes, I hear you there.
Yeah, it is unbelievable, a true freedom like nothing I can ever express fully, But then in the distance, behind them, in this vastness of space, I saw that golden planet, and because I saw it, I was instantly there. And they're slowing me down now. They're like, oh, no. Yeah, you're a little bit too fast now. Right? It's time to go back, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to. And I could feel the love and the light, and it was beyond bright but soft, and it was lovely. So amazing. And then they said my daughter's name. Oh. And then they said my son's name. And with that, I felt the weight of responsibility to finish raising my children. And I began to become heavy and heavy and heavier until I was back in my room, on my bed, and they were this close to me, and I said, please, please come back. And 3 nights later, and they returned and showed me more.
Oh, wow.
And it's a privilege for me to have glimpsed, and it's changed my life. I'll never be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was truly amazing. So it's
And
that
what
energy.
age were you when this happened? What age?
I was probably 29 or 30.
Okay.
It's really when I fully came into it, and I was doing all types of emotional clearing and all types of etheric clearing. I felt that it was time for me to accept and own the responsibility of what I wanted to be on the planet, and I felt that I wanted to be a bridge between all of my past lives and all of my ancestors, to settle any energy, to stop the fear here, and that I would bridge the 2 generations, and that from me on they would have a larger, more open consciousness.
Right. And just curious, did you do that by going to workshops, or did you... Right? Right?
Yeah.
Or did you do that by yourself? Did you invent your own meditations?
I had a dream.
Okay.
And I went to bed one night and I dreamed, first 2 dreams. The first dream, which was really a past life glimpse, I was robed in an orange robe with another monk, and I believed I looked Asian. And we were walking through a valley and stopped, the 2 of us, and saw a UFO. We saw it crash into the base of the mountain, and we ran into it, and a door opened, and there were entities, small beings in there, and they were suffering, and my heart was breaking, and I bent down on my knees, but it didn't get past me that what was in me were things what was around me were things that I'd never seen before. Smooth glass surfaces that were round, everything cut out into it, not freestanding that you could move like furniture, but part of the ship. Everything seemed to be this type of material that was so unfamiliar to me. And then I saw in my dream a temple, a Buddhist temple, and then I woke up. That morning, as I was making sure that the children's homework was done and the lunches were packed, and brought my son to school, this weight on my mind, and I'd already been meditating for many years, and I was experiencing some issues. I kept coming out of my body every time I would move into that state, and so where am I to go? I got it. My consciousness has left my body, and my body's still alive. Big information there. But then what do I do? Where do I go? How far can I go? And so I would go back and try to meditate again, and out of my body I would pop. So I'm thinking about these things as I'm driving around after dropping my son off at school, and I'm out 11 miles or so up from where I was originally started. I'm on the outskirts of Sacramento here in California, and there, in the middle of nowhere, is the temple that I had just dreamed that night before.
And you saw it 3-dimensional. You saw it in this reality, you could say.
Yes, I saw it. Drove in. 2 monks were standing at the gates. The gate was partly opened, and they said, "How did you know about us?" And I said, "I dreamed you." And they said, "Come in."
Wow.
And so for the next 5 years, they taught me how to control my mind. And how to meditate. And I learned more about other worlds and extraterrestrials from the Buddhist monks than I've learned from the 1,000 experiencers that I've done face-to-face with.
Oh, wow. So basically, so how do you see that now? Do they still work with you, first of all?
The monks?
Yes.
Well, I still go to the temple.
Okay.
It's been over 25 years.
So you literally got to that place.
I went to the place and they taught me how to control my mind. I would do 18-hour meditation marathons. I would write the lessons and study. I was learning the Buddhist philosophy at the same time I was learning myself.
But let me get this straight, did you actually physically go to that place again, or could you tune into it with your mind and then study in a download?
No, I can tune into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I conjure it
Right.
often, but I physically go there because
go
the
to the
temple
place.
stands
Yes.
there, and the monks have changed over the years. There's a different master. Been privileged to have developed a relationship with the master, to ask questions, to be taught.
Right.
What an honor for them to accept me. And when I showed up at their gates all those years ago, I had very long blonde hair and my hair front up in a bun, and as they spoke Vietnamese around me, they pointed at the top of my head, and I said, "What are you saying?" And they said, "You're wearing the initiate's bun."
And this is just how you had your hair?
Just how I had my hair.
Wow.
They welcomed me lovingly and with open arms, even though I was very much different than the people coming to the temple,
Mm-hmm.
standing head and shoulders above them, and Caucasian. But they're very loving and taught me well.
And have you brought other people there, or is
yeah.
this just...
No, my son started to come at 5 years old. He began to meditate. Now he's 30,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been meditating for 25 years.
Oh, beautiful.
And my grandchildren, my granddaughter has been to the temple.
Mm-hmm.
She sees Kuan Yin, and she understands Buddha. Yes, it's very important. This temple has stayed with me since the night of that dream.
Wow. And
Always
so
in my consciousness.
they were your teachers in the extraterrestrial journey.
Yeah,
The
believe it.
most important teachers.
They have been the most important teachers in explaining to me and showing me how to connect to other worlds.
I so love this because you're basically summing up what I have learned along the way. I fell in love with meditation really young.
Yeah.
And I kept getting these goosebumps. The first country that I ever traveled to that was further away from the Netherlands was Thailand. And I did that right after art school, which is a whole other story because I basically did art school because I thought I couldn't speak about my own experiences, so art would be the language that I chose
Excellent.
to share and to process my own stories. And I knew I had to travel, so I'm traveling here now, you know.
Right.
I'm still traveling, I'm this total Roma.
We're all traveling.
Yes, we are. Like, even if you stay in the same room your whole life, you're a traveler. But so the first country for me was Thailand, and this is a Buddhist country.
Yes.
And I came there and visiting the temples and learning how to meditate, and I kept having these like little nudges in my back, and I felt this goosebumps coming all over me every time I bowed down before the prayers. And not to make a commercial for a religion or Buddhism or something.
It's really just a philosophy.
Yes. So we also do see that. But it's just funny because Buddhism is generally seen as the most holistic of all religions, the big ones at least.
Yeah.
And in my bigger understanding of my own contact with the extraterrestrial beings, if there is any message, the love-based messages that come from the benevolent beings, from the extraterrestrials, are very much about this, are in that sense very Buddhistic, about going within.
So they
to
travel.
explore the outside, and the Buddha really says you create the world with your mind. Your mind creates this world, and that's what they're telling us. So do you feel that Buddhism, the roots of Buddhism, have a big overlap with the extraterrestrial information?
Yeah,
as a last topic for this.
You know, I really do. I don't think that might be a common philosophy or theory in ufology, but I do believe that it does, because it is the mind, and Buddhist teachings show us how to balance the heart and the mind, to go within, to travel out. It's called universe. Verse is a vibration, a sound, a resonance that we make, our energetic print. It's it's one, it's an individual thing. We have this amazing energy. We are, again, magnificent co-creators, and we can take responsibility for that, and we can really own it, and then we can really adjust it to make it the way that we want it.
Right.
And to make it so that everybody can have this balance.
Right.
So, you know, the Buddhist philosophy, I have always enjoyed it because it's so free and them allowing a person to unfold. So the Buddha was wise in his understanding. If a person wants to smoke a cigarette, they say better to smoke the cigarette than to stress and worry and fret about it, because that's much harder on the mind and body.
Right.
Smoke it, deal with it, get over it, own it.
Yes.
Right,
Okay.
and so, yes, and so why all the angst about wanting to do it, all of that mental turmoil is far more unhealthy. So it's better, their philosophy is very simple, it's very direct,
Yes.
and very non-judgmental, and that's kind of the key. See, we can only get through that, to that point of being non-judgmental when we're empowered.
And when we know ourselves. So
To know ourselves.
Know thyself.
Yeah.
Thyself.
Yeah.
Is really, really key.
Oh yeah, right. Because it's an individual process.
Exactly.
I feel very close to the great ancient Gnostic teachings as well. I believe that they had a lot of the information really correct, and their philosophy too was that your relationship with the higher beings, higher realms, or God, or the universe, whatever a person is most comfortable with, is individual. It's you add that it doesn't need a minister or an administration
Right.
for the information to be filtered through. That
Right.
this is an individual thing, and
All
that
right.
when we go within, we connect to all of that.
Right.
That the answers aren't in a Buddhist temple or in any other place, but these are places that we can go that will remind you
Right.
to find the answers inside.
Oh, this is the perfect ending for this video, because you just gave the most excellent cliffhanger for the next, in which I would love to explore with you the idea of channeling, how you look at that, and by a lot of people, as you know, it's also questioned, because again, another messenger, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into that one. Stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching. We're gonna put all the links in the back and in below this video about all the other amazing work that Laurie does. Yes, I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next. Namaste.
Namaste.